In this lecture, we are going to see about public key cryptography, Unit 3. So, in Unit 1, we saw about symmetric key cryptography. So, in that technique, the same key is used for both encryption and decryption process. But in public key cryptography, that is asymmetric cryptography, then different key is used for encryption and decryption process. So, in this unit, we are going to see about the concept of public key cryptography. We will see the content of this prime numbers, probability testing, factorization, and Euler-Tocian function. So, first we will start with prime numbers. All we know about what is prime number. So, prime numbers only have divisor of 1 and itself, and it cannot be written as the product of other numbers, and usually 1 is a prime number, and for example 2 3 5 and number 7 are prime numbers, and 4 6 8 9 10 these are not the prime numbers. These are some example, and these prime numbers are it is a centralized concept to number theory. Let us take the prime numbers less than 200 or from 2 3 5 7, and these are the prime numbers from less than 200. So prime numbers, it only have the divisors of 1 and the self itself number. So usually the positive integer can be divided into three categories. One is number 1, second one is prime number, and third one is composite number. Number 1, you all know the integer number 1, and prime numbers having it have exactly 2 divisor, and a composite number having more than 2 divisor. In the right hand side, you can see the table, the example of prime numbers. 2, 5, 17 and 199 are the prime numbers. So for 2, it can 2 divisor, that is 1 and 2. So it is a prime number because it having 2 divisor, and similarly 5 having 1 and 5, 17 having 1 and 17, and for 199 it have 1 and 199. So in prime numbers, each and every individual number having exactly having 2 divisor. So these are prime numbers, and the composite numbers are 6, 14, 30, 105. These are some example, but there are more positive numbers than prime numbers. So let us take the example 6. We can factorize the 6 number is 1 into 2 into 3. So for 6, which have 3 factors, which means it have more than 2 devices, so this number is called as composite number. Similarly, taking the number 14, it can return as 1 into 2 into 7, so 14. So it can have more than 2 divisor. So the number having exactly 2 divisor, that number is called as prime number. In case which have more than 2 divisor, that number is called as composite number. So usually the integer number can have 3 types. One is the number 1, second one is prime number, and third one is composite number. So the next concept of factorization. We all know what is factor. For example, let us take the number 15. It can return as 5 into 3, 15. So the factors of 15 number is 5 into 3. So that is factorization. So what is prime factorization in this sense? It is a number when it's written as the product of prime number. Let us take the example 15. So in 15 we can write it as the factor of 5 into 3. So here 3 is one prime number and 5 is another prime number. So when we write the factor or product of the particular number as a prime, product of prime, then that factor is called as prime factorization. Let us take the example 91. Here 91 can have the factor or product as 7 into 13. So it is a factorization. This is called as prime factorization because 7 is a prime number and 13 is another prime number. So 91 can be written as the product of 2 prime or it is a factor of 2 prime. That's why this number 91 is called as prime factorization. So this is a concept of factorization. All we know, let us take a number constant n. It can be write as a into b into c. It can be it is a product of particular number. That is the concept of factorization, and it is also called as prime factorization when the number is written as the product of primes. So the next one is relatively prime numbers and GCD. Already we know GCD is the greatest common divisor. It is used to find the highest common factor of the two numbers by using Euclid's algorithm. GCD of a comma b is equal to GCD of b comma a mod b. Already we saw. So what is relatively prime number? Already we saw the two numbers a and b are relatively prime if they have the common divisor 1 only. Let us take the example, the number 8 and 15. Here the number 8 and 15 are relatively prime because the 8 and 15 having only the common factor is 1. So the 8 and 15 are relatively prime. So the next concept is primality testing. In the word sense, it is a testing concept. So what is going to be test? The check whether the given number is prime or not. So the testing concept is known as primality testing. Here there is one rule. This is a rule or format or concept. Every number n has a prime factor less than or equal to root power n. So consider if they are giving one particular number to find out, check whether the number is prime or not. So we are going to find out the root of that particular number and then writing the prime factor of that particular number, but it should be less than the given number. Let us see one example, then you can clearly understand the concept of primality testing. Primality testing is nothing but it is used to check whether a particular number is prime or not. So this is the first problem. Determine whether 1601 is prime or not, right? So actually it is a very single number or single digit, in the sense we can easily identify it is prime or not, but if it is the very large number, in the sense then we can't easily identify that it is a prime number or not. So in that case we have to using this formula to find out the prime number. So the given number is 1601. So we are assuming that is small n, right? So small n is equal to 1601. So we are going to apply in this formula, that is root n. So root 1601 is equal to 40 because you have to find out the approximate the number of the root result, right? So 40 into 40 is equal to 1600. So it is the nearest number. So we are taking the value of 40. This is the first case. In the second case, in the left hand side less than or equal to, we are writing every number has a prime factor, but that prime factor should be less than the root of n, right? So here the root of n value is 40. So we are writing all the prime factors, but which is less than the number of 40. So less than the number of 40, all the prime factors we have to write 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, 31 and 37. 38 is not prime and 39 is not prime and 40 is also not prime, because here the condition is less than or equal to root power n. So the number is equal. So here 40, but 40 is not prime. So we are not taking that number. So from 2 and 37, these are the prime number which is less than or equal to 40. So this is the first step. In the second step, we have to check whether any factor to be divide the number 1601. So we can check. We will start with prime number 2. 1601 divided by 2 is not divided, and then we can the number 3 can't divide, and then 5 the number 5 can't divide, and 7 divide, and up to 37. 1601 is not divided by any of these prime factor which is less than 40. So if the number is satisfied the two steps, step 1 and step 2, then the given number is prime number. So 1601 is a prime number. So we can see another example. Check whether or determine 1001 is a prime number or not. So the same example here, the small n is 1001. So we have to do the first step, that is root power n. So root power 1001 is equal to 31. Already I said 900. So nearby 1001, the result is 31. We have to write the number which is less than the correct result. We don't write the above 1001, right? So the result is 31. So in the second step, we will write all the prime numbers which is less than or equal to 31, because that is the condition. every number has a prime factor less than root power n. So we have to write all the prime numbers less than 31. So we'll start from 2, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. Here you can see we are writing after 29, 31 because the condition is less than or equal to. So it is equal to the root n. So 31 is also a prime number. So we are taking in this step because in this problem we are not taking 40 and 30, 38, 39 because 38, 39, 40 all are not prime number, but here 30 is a prime number, so we didn't write, but 31 is a prime number, so we are taking that one, we are taking the value 31. So in the second step we will do check whether any factor to be divide the particular number 1001. So here 1001 is not divided by 2 and not divided by 3, and 1001 is not divided by 5, but 1001 is divided by 7 because it is 1 7 and remaining 3, and 4 into 7 28, so remaining 2 21, 3 7s are 21. So 1001 is divided by 7. In that case 1001 is not a prime number. So if the given number is should satisfy the above two step, then only the given number is prime number. In the above example, the 1601 number should satisfy the both condition, then only the number is prime number. But here the number 1001 satisfied the first condition, but it does not satisfy the second condition, then the given number 1001 is not a prime number. So this is the concept of primality testing. By using this rule, every number has a prime factor less than or equal to root power n. So we are using some algorithms for primality testing. There are two algorithms. One is deterministic algorithms and the second one is probabilistic algorithms. So both algorithms which accept some integer and produce a result that is either prime number or composite number. And deterministic algorithm, it is inefficient compared to probabilistic algorithm. In deterministic algorithm there are three types. One is divisibility algorithm. It is nothing but we are going to divide the number divide by the particular number of the given number, and then we can identify the given number is either either prime or composite. So the second method is AKS algorithm. So in this method we use the effect, that is x minus a congruous operator and x power p minus a into mod p, that is not mode, that is modular arithmetic p operation. So by using this formula we can identify that either number is prime or composite. So this is deterministic algorithm. The second one is probabilistic algorithm. It is a little bit efficient comparatively deterministic algorithm, but it does not give any guarantee as the correctness of the result. Similarly, this having the three tests. One is Fermat testing method. That rule is a power n minus 1 congruent relationship and 1 mod n. This is not equal symbol. This is congruent relationship. What is that congruent relationship? I will later in the slides. So the second one is square root testing. Normally we are applying, for example, the given number is n, then we are applying the square root. After getting that number, we are checking whether it is prime or composite. So the third method is Miller-Rabin test. It is nothing but it is the combination of both the first two tests, that is Fermat and square root test. All these tests and algorithm which is used to check whether the given number is prime or composite, right? So the next important concept or topic is Euler's totient function. This function is denoted by phi of n, and it is sometimes called as Euler's pi function. It plays a very important role in public key cryptography. This function main point is, please listen carefully, the main point is the function is used to find both condition, it should satisfy both condition. One is smaller than n and relatively prime to n. So the Euler totient function is denoted by phi of n, and it is used to find both smaller than the particular small n and relatively prime to n. It is also denoted by z suffix n and prefix x. Here the numbers that are smaller than n and it is relatively prime to n. We will see what is that. There are four rules to find Euler totient function. The first one is phi of 1 value is equal to 0. We don't have any rule Wherever phi of 1 is occur, we directly write it as the value 0. The second condition is that is not O, that is phi. Phi of P is equal to P minus 1, that is not power minus 1. Phi of P is equal to P minus 1. If the condition satisfied, P is a prime number irunda, we have to apply the rule, second rule, that is P minus 1. In case the number is not prime, then we are going with the third rule, that is phi of m cross n, which can be rewrite as phi of m into phi of n. Here m and n are prime number, right? The last rule or condition is phi of p power e is equal to p power e minus p power e minus 1. Here also if p is a prime number. So these are the four rules to find the value of phi of n. Phi of n is nothing but Euler-Taussian function. Let us see some example to find the Euler-Taussian function. The first example is phi of 13. So whenever we have to find, whenever we have to follow the Euler-Taussian function, first we have to check whether the number is prime or not. According to that only we have to apply the rules, apply the above four rules. So first phi of 13, 13 is a prime number. If the number is prime, we will go with the second rule, that is p minus 1, because here p is a prime number. So p minus 1, here p is 13, so 13 minus 1 is equal to 12. So pi of 13 is equal to 12. So second problem, what is the value of pi of 10? So here also we have to check the number n is prime or not, but here 10 is not a prime number. So we will not go with the second rule, we will go with the third rule, that is phi of m cross n. Which means we have to divide the number 10 into 2 factor, that is we can write it as 2 into 5, that is not 15, that is 5, because 5 into 2, 10, right? That is the condition. Phi of m comma n, here we are going to split that whole number into m into n, but the condition should satisfy, that is m and n are prime number. So the 10 can be divided into 2 into 5, because 2 is a prime number and f5 is also a prime number. So phi of 2 into phi of 5, that is not 15, 5. So now you can check phi of 2, 2 is a prime number. If the number is prime number, then we can apply the second rule, that is p minus 1. So 2 minus 1 is 1. And phi of 5, so 5 is also a prime number, so p minus 1, that is 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. So the result 1 multiplication 4 is equal to 4. So the third problem is have to find phi of 49. So you have to check the 49 is prime number or not. Here 49 is not a prime number. So we can divide into two prime numbers, that is 7 into 7, because 7 is one prime number and 7 is another prime number, but it is not the different number, it is an equal number. So we can't apply the third rule. Listen carefully. If the number is prime number, we can apply the rule 2. If the number is not prime number, we have to factorize, but both number to be a prime number, and both number are a different number, it should not be the same number. So here 49 is not a prime number, so we can factorize it into 2. 7 into 7, 7 is prime number and 7 is another prime number, but it is not the different number, it is an equal number. So we can't go with the rule 3. So here in that case we are deal with the fourth rule, that is phi of p power e. So we can write the 49 in that format, p power e, that is 7 power 2. So 7 power 2 in the sense we can write p power e minus p power e minus 1. Here p is a prime. So here the prime number is 7. So we can apply. That is 7 power 2 minus 7 power e minus 1. Here the e value is 2. So 2 minus 1, 1. So 7 power 2 minus 7 power 1 is equal to 49 minus 7 is equal to 42. So this is the result of by applying the fourth rule. So each and every problem here applying the above four rules. The last one is they are giving what is the number of elements in Z14 power star. We all know what is closure. Star means closure operation. So 14, we will check with 14 is a prime number or not. 14 is not a prime number, so we have to factorize. So 7 into 2. because 7 is one prime number and 2 is another prime number. So 5 of 7 into 5 of 2. So 7 is a prime number. So p minus 1, that is 7 minus 1, 6, and 2 minus 1, 1. So the answer is 6. You have to carefully watch the question, because here they can't ask that the value of 5 of 14. The question is, what is the number of elements in Z14 star? So the meaning of this question is, actually the 5 of 14 value is 6, but the question is, what are the 6 elements? That is the question of this problem. So you can clearly see the second point. Already I said it should satisfy both smaller than n and relatively prime to n. Smaller than n and relatively prime to n. So here the n value is 14. So smaller than n in the sense we have to write the prime number less than or smaller than 14, and relatively prime to n in the sense 14க்கு கம்மியாக இருக்கிற ஒவ்வொரு நம்பரும் 14ங்கிற நம்பரு கூட ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைமாக இருக்கணும். தட் இஸ் த கண்டிஷன். திருப்பி நான் சொல்கிறேன், இந்த 4 ப்ராப்ளமும் பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா 5 ஆஃப் n வேல்யூ என்னன்னு கேட்டாங்க அப்படின்னா இந்த 4 ரூல் அப்ளை பண்ணி கண்டுபிடிக்கணும். பட் இந்த 4th கொஷினும் மேலே இருக்கிற 3 கொஷின் ஈக்குவல் கிடையாது. 4th கொஷின் வந்து நம்பர் ஆஃப் எலமெண்ட்ஸ் எத்தனை இருக்குன்னு கேட்டிருக்காங்க. வாட் இஸ் த நம்பர் எலமெண்ட்ஸ்? அதாவது மேலே இருக்கிற கொஷின் இப்போ வந்து ஃபஸ்ட் கொஷின் வந்து 12 எலமெண்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது, செகண்ட் கொஷின் வந்து 4 எலமெண்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது, தேர்ட் கொஷின் வந்து 42 எலமெண்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது. பட் ஃபோர்த்து கொஷின் அந்த 12 எலமெண்ட்ஸும் என்ன, அந்த 4 எலமெண்ட்ஸும் என்ன, அந்த 42 எலமெண்ட்ஸும் என்னங்கிறது தான் ஃபோர்த்து கொஷின். ஸோ ஃபோர்த்தில் 5 ஆஃப் என்னோட வேல்யூ வந்து 6, அந்த 6 எலமெண்ட்ஸும் என்னன்னு கேட்டிருக்காங்க. ஸோ இந்த கண்டிஷனில் வந்து ஸ்மாலர் தென் என்ன இருக்கணும் அண்ட் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம் டு என்ன இருக்கணும். ஸோ ஸ்மாலர் தென் n அப்படின்னா 14 விட கம்மியாக இருக்க போகுது அண்ட் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம். ஸோ 14 விட கம்மியானா என்ன எழுதணும்னா 14 விட கம்மியாக இருக்கிற எல்லா ப்ரைம் நம்பரையும் நான் எழுதணும், ரைட்டா? பட் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைமாகவும் இருக்கணும். இப்போ இங்கே 14 விட கம்மியாக இருக்கிற ப்ரைம் நம்பர் என்னென்னு பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா 1 வரும், 2 வரும், 3 வரும், 5 வரும், 7 வரும், 9 வரும், 11 வரும், 13 வரும். பட் நம்ம 2ங்கிற வேல்யூவும் எழுதலை, 7ங்கிற வேல்யூவும் இங்கே எழுதலை. என்ன ரீசன் அப்படின்னா செகண்ட் ஒன்று என்ன சொன்னேன், ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ஸ்மாலர் தேன் n அண்ட் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம் டு n. ஸோ ஒவ்வொரு வேல்யூவையும் அந்த 14 கூட ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைமாக இருக்கான்னு சொல்லி செக் பண்ணணும். ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைமுங்கிறது என்னென்னு உங்களுக்கு தெரியும். அது 2 நம்பருக்கோட காமன் டிவைசர் 1 வேல்யூவாக இருந்தால் தட் போத் நம்பரோ ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம்னு அர்த்தம். ஸோ இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நம்பர் எடுத்துப்போம், 1,14 ரெண்டுக்கும் காமன் டிவைசர் 1 தான். ஸோ ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம் சாட்டிஸ்ஃபைடு. நெக்ஸ்ட் வந்து 2 நம்பர் இருந்தால் 2ம் 14ம் பார்த்தா எனக்கு 1க்கு அப்புறம் என்ன நம்பர் இருக்குது, 2ங்கிறது 2ஆலையும் டிவைட் ஆகும், 14ங்கிறதும் 2ஆலையும் டிவைட் ஆகும். ஸோ 2,14 இஸ் நாட் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம், அதனால 2ங்கிற வேல்யூவை இங்கே எழுதலை. அடுத்து 3, இப்போ 3,14 ரெண்டுமே 1ஆல் மட்டும்தான் டிவைட் ஆகும். அடுத்து 4 வராது, பிகாஸ் 4 இஸ் நாட் அ ப்ரைம் நம்பர். அண்ட் 5,14 இஸ் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம். 5க்கு அப்புறம் 7 வரும். 7,14 எடுத்தோம் அப்படின்னா 7,14 14 7ஆலையும் எனக்கு டிவைட் ஆகும். ஸோ 7 and 14 இஸ் நாட் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம். அடுத்து 9,14 வந்து 1ஆல் மட்டும்தான் டிவைட் ஆகும். அடுத்து 11,14 1ஆல் தான் டிவைட் ஆகும். 13,14 1ஆல் தான் டிவைட் ஆகும். ஸோ 5 ஆஃப் 14 இஸ் ஈக்குவல் டு 6 நம்பர்ஸ் வந்திருக்கு. அந்த 6 நம்பர்ஸ் தான் 1, 3, 5, 9, 11, 13. ஸோ இந்த ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்டோட மீனிங் அதுதான். செகண்ட் லைன் பாருங்கள், த ஃபங்க்ஷன் ஃபைன்ஸ் போத் ஸ்மாலர் தேன் n அண்ட் ரிலேட்டிவ்லி ப்ரைம் n. 14 விட கம்மியாக இருக்கிற ப்ரைம் வேல்யூவை நான் எழுதணும். அண்ட் அந்த 14 விட கம்மியாக இருக்கிற வேல்யூவில் ஒவ்வொரு வேல்யூவையும் நான் 14 கூட செக் பண்ணும்போது இட் ஷுட் பி ரிலேட்டிவ் டு த பர்டிகுலர் நம்பர். ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் த ஃபங்க்ஷன் ஆஃப் Euler-Tochian function phi of n. So in the previous slide I told about congruent relationship because it is not equal symbol. So what is the difference between congruent relationship and equal symbol in the sense? In cryptography we use the concept of congruent equality symbol instead of equality, because a is equal to 5 அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து 5ங்கிற வேல்யூவை நான் ஏக்கு அசைன் பண்ணுறேன். ஸோ ஏன்னு இருக்கிற இடத்துலலாம் 5ன்னு இருக்கும், 5ன்னு இருக்கிற இடத்துல ஏன்னு நான் அசைன் பண்ணிக்கலாம். பட் இட் இஸ் நாட் ஈக்குவல் டு த கான்செப்ட் ஆஃப் கான்க்ரூட்ஸ். இன் கிரிப்டோகிராஃபியில் ஃபுல்லாக நிறைய பிளேஸில் பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா ஈக்குவல் சிம்பிள் இருக்காது, கான்க்ரூட் ரிலேஷன்ஷிப் தான் போட்டிருப்போம். ஏன் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா, லெட் அஸ் டேக் த எக்ஸாம்பிள், 2 mod 10 the result is 2 and 12 mod 10 the result is 2, 22 mod 2 the result is 22 mod 10 அது 2 கிடையாது, 22 mod 10 the result is 2. So here The integers like 2, 12, 22 are all congruent to mod 10 because each and every integer here we are applying the operation is mod 10 only, but the result is same. The above values vary 2, 12, 22, but the modular arithmetic value does not change mod 10, mod 10, mod 10, but the result is also same. So இங்கே என்னன்னா 2க்கு 2 mod 10க்கு 2 ஈக்குவல்னு மீனிங் கிடையாது. 2ங்கிறது ஒரு இன்டீஜர், அந்த இன்டீஜர் வேல்யூ வந்து இங்கே இருக்கிற எல்லா மாடுலர் வேல்யூக்கு ஈக்குவல்னு கிடையாது. மாடுலர் அர்த்தமெட்டிக் ஆப்ரேஷன் அப்ளை பண்ணும் போது அது ஈக்குவலாக இருக்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு கன்வின்சிங் ஆர்கியூமெண்ட்டு தான் அது. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கும் போது டு ஷோ தட் த டூ இன்டீஜர்ஸ் ஆர் கான்க்ரூட் வி யூஸ் அ கான்க்ரூட்ஸ் ஆப்ரேட்டர். 2 லைனில் அந்த சிம்பிள் வந்து இருக்கும். ஸோ புக்கில் வந்து நிறைய இடத்துல பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா அது ஈக்குவல் சிம்பிள் கிடையாது, இல்லை தெரியாமல் பிரிண்ட் ஆச்சுன்னு நினைக்காதீங்க. இட் இஸ் அ கான்க்ரூட்ஸ் ஆப்ரேட்டர். Right, so we add the brace mod n to the right side of the congruence to define the value of modules that makes the relationship valid. So the same concept, for example 2 mod 10 congruence 2, 12 mod 10 congruence 2, 22 mod 2 10, sorry that is 10 congruence 2, and so on. So in modular arithmetic, integers like 2, 12, 22 are called congruent to mod 10. ரைட்டா, பிகாஸ் 2 mod 10ங்கிறதோட வேல்யூ 2க்கு ஈக்குவல் கிடையாது. 2க்கு mod 10 வேல்யூ நான் அப்ளை பண்ணாதான் 2 வரும். 12க்கு இப்போ 2 mod 3ன்னு போடுறேன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, சரி 2 mod வர என்ன வேல்யூ நான் போட்டால் 2 வரும். பட் இப்போ 12 modன்னு கீழே நான் வேறு என்ன வேல்யூ போட்டாலும் அதே 2 வேல்யூ எனக்கு வரும்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. இப்போ 12 mod 13ன்னு போடுறேன்னா எனக்கு ஆன்சர் என்ன வரும், 12ன்னு வரும். புரிஞ்சுதா? ஸோ அங்கே வந்து மாடுலர் 10க்கு the 2, 12, 22ல எப்படி இருக்குது அப்படின்னா எனக்கு கான்க்ரூட்டாக இருக்குது, இட் இஸ் நாட் ஈக்குவல். ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் த கான்செப்ட் ஆஃப் கான்க்ரூட் ரிலேஷன்ஷிப். பிகாஸ் in the previous slide I will tell about congruent relationship, because you can see clearly that a power n minus 1 congruent relationship 1 mod 10, right? So this is not equal. So wherever the modular arithmetic operation is applied, we have to write that congruent operator. You can't write the equal sign symbol, right? So these are some of the question. What is meant by relatively prime, what is meant by primality testing is nothing but we have to check whether the given number is prime or not. Relatively prime of two numbers is if the both numbers having the common divisor value is 1, then that number is called as relatively prime. The Euler-Tochian function is denoted by phi of n, and it is used to find the value of smallest number of n and relatively prime to n. So there are 4 rules in Euler-Tochian function.